When Polar Mom stops to give her cubs a break, the male moves in. But Polar Mom catches his scent on the wind without a moment to lose. Mother Bear has settled into her narrow cavern, protecting her cubs through the -40-degree winter. The infant cubs have never seen the sun, but will soon emerge at about 10 weeks, trading the safety of the den for the dangers of the outside world.
Oh, there she is. Mom's up.
Oh, she's talking to them.
The tiny cubs take their first steps into the world. Everything is new. At just 20 pounds, they'll need to grow and gain strength in a hurry. Soon, they'll begin an epic trek out onto the ice so Mom can feed again.
Winter comes early to Yellowstone. This is the season of the wolf. While others battle the elements, wolves are in their prime. Their success is tied to the collective strength of the pack. A curious adolescent named Blacktail. Like many young males, he's left behind the security of his pack. Winter's wrath could be fatal for a lone wolf. In this lean season, every meal is critical. And hiding among the willows is what looks like a perfect opportunity. A wounded bull elk, half frozen at the water's edge. A wolf pack would go straight for the kill. But alone, Blacktail has almost no chance of taking it down. He must wait until the bull gives out. But time is not in his favor. Far across the valley, a legion is gathering. The Wapiti Pack. More than 20 wolves strong, they travel in formation, searching for prey. They follow the river, unhurried, until, in unison, they spot something. The wounded elk. Blacktail holds his ground in the meadow. He can't afford to abandon this chance of a meal. The Wapitis gather in the timber. They're staging for an ambush, just as night is falling. The sun rises on what little remains of the old bull elk. The Wapiti's night ambush was a success. 20 wolves fed on their prize and vanished, leaving only scraps for ravens and coyotes. Blacktail is nowhere to be seen.
At 11,500 feet above sea level, Ladakh is home to about 2,000 Kiangs, including Dorje and his herd. Winter on the plateau is brutal. The temperature drops to negative 22 degrees. Up here, the air is thin. There's only half as much oxygen as at sea level. But Dorje and his herd are well adapted to these punishing conditions. They are smaller than their horse and zebra cousins, standing only 4 feet tall at the shoulder. But males can weigh 1,000 pounds. Thick woolly hair helps insulate their short, stocky bodies. And sturdy hooves help them navigate the rugged terrain. The herd moves constantly in search of food. There's little available except tough needle grass, which can survive the freezing temperatures by lying dormant. Its dry stalks are resistant to frost damage, but hold little nutrition. In winter, when other food is scarce, this coarse grass makes up more than 90% of the Kiang's diet. But other options do exist, if you know where to look. Dorje digs to uncover small dormant plants with shallow roots, just under the surface. Like the needlegrass, the roots he finds are tough and fibrous. For most grazers, this diet would hold few nutrients. But Kiangs have evolved a digestive system far more efficient than most of their equine relatives. And they can survive on these meager pickings, if they can get enough of them. Digging is hard work, so Dorje is not about to share.
On the outskirts of town, a new mom and her cub look for a place to rest. It's been a long journey since the 6-year-old female gave birth to her first litter 30 miles inland. In March, she led her cubs on a trek back to the seal hunting grounds on the ice. But the grueling trip was too much for one cub. He didn't survive. With food hard to come by at this time of year, the two scour the beach for any carry-on washed in with the tide. Today's their lucky day. New mom discovers a fish carcass. It's not much, but she can't be choosy. She's burning through 2 pounds a day nursing her cub.
Early January brings a fresh coating of snow to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And plenty of it. It's lake effect snow, whipped up by moisture from the open waters of Lake Superior to the north and Lake Michigan to the south. More than 5 feet can fall in January alone, making the region one of the heaviest snowbelts in the nation. It takes a special breed of animal to handle a Michigan winter. This river otter is up to her eyeballs in personal maintenance. Rolling in snow keeps her fur clean and allows it to trap an insulating layer of air in her woolly undercoat. She can't survive these conditions without it. Now that she's taken care of her coat, it's her belly that needs attention. The hungry otter relies on this stretch of open water for her winter pantry. The river is freezing up fast, but so far, the current is strong enough to fend off the ice. She hunts the frigid waters, protected by her outer coat of waterproof fur. She hits pay dirt, a school of small fish, sluggish from the cold. In between meals, she works to combat winter's advance, keeping a series of holes open in the ice. If they close over, she could lose her access to the fish and starve. Worse, she could find herself without an easy exit and become trapped under the ice. For the river otter, hard work and the right gear take the bite out of winter.
Native to Antarctica, the seals number about 800,000, and they're the only mammals that live this close to the South Pole year-round. The first thing Lang discovers is how incredibly resilient these seals are. The Weddells are able to hold their breath for over an hour and have been spotted at depths exceeding 2,000 feet, something no human ever could match without a submarine. In a world as harsh as this, these gentle creatures spend the majority of their lives foraging for whatever food they can find. That includes fish and small invertebrates unlucky enough to be caught by these warm-blooded torpedoes. In fact, the seals only surface to breathe, rest, and give birth to their pups.
The Weddell seals have an ability to store quite a bit more oxygen in their blood by taking repeated long-duration breaths. They're decreasing the amount of nitrogen in their system, and they're increasing the amount of oxygen capacity within their blood.
The Weddell seals' diving abilities help protect them from killer whales and other predators. Several miles of permanently frozen seas separate the shoreline from the open water, and scientists have learned that since predators are unable to hold their breath long enough to pursue the seals under this ice, this area becomes the Weddell's safe zone.
This place is harsh. The winds can blow 60 miles an hour, and temperatures can drop down to 50 below zero. Blizzards are unpredictable, and in a matter of minutes, you can be lost in a complete whiteout. Not the best conditions to have 3 kittens. Most of the animals in this part of the country have evolved to sync the birth of their young with warmer weather and spring conditions. While the winter setting might seem like a death sentence for these little kittens, it's really the opposite. The frigid cold actually drives the prey from the high country down into the valley below. It's like having a buffet right at her front door.
It was obvious she had several denning areas and caves that she would go to, but then it was really apparent that there was this one cave I call the kitty condo. That's kind of her main cave. That's really her home base.
I've gone years and traveled thousands of miles looking for mountain lions, and I've barely ever seen one. Finding that cave was huge. I mean, it gave me such an incredible opportunity to set up cameras and film them up close without being intrusive. When I set up on the kills, I really never know what I'm gonna get. I just hope everything's gonna work.
That's the boy there. Look at him.
It's given me a glimpse into the life of a mountain lion family, which is rarely ever filmed. And I'm developing an understanding of an animal that is much more than a predator.
There's also this soft side to them where they're just a mother, taking care of their babies. This is the little moments that I love.
Sitting here at their dinner table allows me to see each of their personalities really come through. Like a good mother, Mama Mo keeps the family clean and fed, and even looks after herself a little bit. Eenie is a miniature version of Mama Mo, independent, adventurous, full of courage. And Miney sticks closer to Mom, possessive of Mama Mo's attention. He's the biggest and only male of the kittens, but a complete mama's boy. And Meenie's name continues to fit perfectly.
For a mother to provide food, it's very important. But here's the other thing that this mother provides. Snuggling, loving, cleaning. You just don't, when you think about a mountain lion, you don't think about this side of their life, and this is what they're doing most of the time. So it's...
Among all the bears migrating to Churchill, mothers and cubs travel the slowest. They will be among the last to arrive. The odds of both these newborns surviving their journey is only about 65%. So it falls to their mother to do all she can to tip the balance in their favor. Her cubs still lack their layer of insulating fat and are in danger of freezing to death in the frigid water. So she takes frequent breaks to let her cubs dry off in the summer sun. Traveling this way is not only much slower, it's also more dangerous. With hundreds of hungry males already stalking the shoreline, a neglected cub could make for an easy meal. When desperate, polar bears will eat cubs. This male has gone months without a meal. One of Polar Mom's newborns could be his chance. When Polar Mom stops to give her cubs a break, the male moves in. But Polar Mom catches his scent on the wind without a moment to lose. She runs just far enough, showing him there are no easy grab-and-go opportunities. And the male decides against a lengthy foot chase. But this is a warning to Polar Mom. As they continue toward Churchill, her cubs will be safer in deeper cover.